It's time for the Northwoods Cooking Show. Starring Uncle Roy and Miss Callie, the troublemaking dog.
Hello and welcome to the Northwoods Cooking Show. I'm your host, Uncle Roy, and as you can tell with the blues, it's a boy. Nikki had her baby. She's my instructor at the studio at CCX. And she had a baby boy, 5 pounds, a couple ounces, and I thought, oh my Lord, that's a tiny baby. Because she was big, she was huge. I'm not going to say how big or huge unless you know her, but it was like, I thought, oh, that's going to be a big baby. That was a tiny little boy, so she was quite big for the baby. But so then I got me an idea of making some homemade baby food. And I've been looking up recipes and stuff, and I found some really simple ones to make. And these are going to be for babies 4 to 6 months old. Now, with any foods or anything you're going to give your baby, it's always best to check with your pediatrician first before doing any of the foods. But these here are, you want to start introducing your baby between 4 and 6 months, so you don't have to start them at 4. It's going to be different and varies for each baby. Each child is different. Each person's different. But anyway, so what we need here, we're going to do, is a lot of fresh fruits. We got bananas, avocados, even avocados. I never knew that. But avocados are really good for your baby because it gives them a lot of these, almost all of these, are very similar in that they all have vitamins A, C, folate, phosphorus, and calcium and magnesium. So these vegetables and fruits are very good for your baby. So what we're going to do here is make these up, and very simple. A lot of them are just however you want to cook them. You can steam or boil them on the stove. You can microwave. You can bake them. There's different ways for whatever you want to do, whatever is convenient for you to make. And so I'm going to be doing different ways here. And first of all, of course, banana. Very simple. This is like one of the easiest things to do. It's already cooked. It's already done. So all you have to do is just moosh it up. I'm going to save these because I'm going to take and make the baby food. And in the olden days, like when I was a baby, you just had to take and we used to take in, your parents would take, mom would take and can everything into baby food jars. That's, you know, the baby food jars came about. So everything was can. Now we'll just take a fork and mash this up. And so nowadays it's like you don't have to can everything. You can just puree and throw it in freezer bags, boom, in the freezer, there you go. And when you want to use something to thaw out and serve your baby's food, you can put them in the microwave and heat them up to defrost them. Just always test to make sure they're not hot. You know, you don't want to burn your baby's mouth. And one of the best ways, everybody should take the baby bottle in the olden days, test it on your wrist, and to test to feel how warm it is to you. If it's hot, it's going to burn your baby, you know. So you want to cool it down. But the other way too is, after you take it out of the freezer, what you want to do is stick a bag, a portion, put it that way, in the refrigerator. And just let it sit overnight so that the next day it's all thawed out and ready to go. Now you can take and reheat if you want to in the microwave, but like I said, just be careful so you don't burn yourself or the baby, especially the baby's mouth. It's very important because it's so tender. Now we're just going to moosh this up. That's it. See, just moosh. Feed your baby. There you go. Bananas. Now the other one is avocado. And I don't know if you know how to carve an avocado, whatever, to prepare it. It's so simple. You just want to take your knife, and there's a pit in the middle. So you just want to cut down to the pit and go around completely. And then you just take and you twist. And then you got your two halves. Now, the way I've done it, you can do it any way you want to, I guess. Whatever, you're used to. But what I do is take a knife, and you just be careful now, because you don't want to cut through the peel and into your hand. I mean, I can do this, and I know what I'm doing, so I kind of do things without saying it, but if I don't tell you how to do it, I know someone's going to take and just go zoom right through it and cut their hand up. So what you want to do is just score this down until you feel that peel underneath. And stop and just cut along there. And then you go crisscross the other way. Now, you can take the tines of your fork and just moosh this together right inside the peel. So now we got moosh avocado. And that's all ready for your baby. And then you got the bowls right here. Take a little spoon and start feeding your baby that way. Avocado, very simple. Now, avocado too is very rich in fat and fats that are good for your baby, for the developing baby. So this is excellent for gaining weight on your baby. It's really, really good. Now, like I said too, with any of these foods, you want to check with your pediatrician first to make sure that they're old enough or they're acceptable or no allergies, etc. Because I'm not the doctor, I'm just giving you ways of making baby food. You need to take and check that out with your pediatrician to make sure that your baby is ready to eat pureed foods. Now, like I said, they suggest 4 to 6 months. It's going to be different times for different babies at different levels. So always check with your pediatrician first. Now, that's how you serve the bananas and avocado now. You're feeding your baby now. So, we're going to take, and I'm going to show you, I want to save and freeze some because I want to serve, do a bunch ahead of time. So all I have to do is whip the bag out of the refrigerator and I'm ready to go to feed the baby. You know what I mean? So just take and scoop out your avocado. And now you can make up a head here. I just got a little mini food processor. Another good thing too is the immersion wand. I have one of those too. And you can just mix up everything in your like a big cup. Whatever. I could even do a Tupperware bowl, I suppose. And just take your immersion wand, zoom, 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 however you want to do it. So, I got one banana too. I'm going to do 2 bananas. Because I'm going to do a little amount here. Now, to take the pit out, just see that? Chop it right into the seed and then twist it and it comes right out. And then just hit this on the edge of the garbage can. Boom, pops right off. I'm so used to doing this at work. I do it blindfolded practically, Go through a lot of avocados at work. And then just scoop it out. Boom, boom. Now be careful, make sure you get that little black stem. You don't have that in there. I know mine went falling on the floor when I opened it up for you. So I knew I was okay with that. Then, make sure it's on there. I hope that's on there. And just buzz it up. Low, high, low, high, low, high. And you get the idea. Boom, there you go. Now this is called, what do you call it? Nannercado? Nannercado, or banana, I'm supposed to say nanners, banana cado mash. That's what they called it. Bananacado mash. So we'll just take and put that in a little Ziploc freezer bag. Now make sure you write down, I want to put Nannercado mash. Today's date 2/28/18. Now the freezer, 6 months maximum. 4 to 6 months, 6 months maximum. Refrigerator, after you stick it in there, 3 to 4 days maximum. So you only want to, take out as you use and what you want to use. If you don't use it, don't put it back in the freezer, because once you defrost something, you never want to refreeze it, because then you're going to have the chances of getting food poisoning. And that's true with any foods. Because I got a license, a food service manager's license. That's one of the big things they teach us in getting your food service manager's license is, food safety. And that's a big no-no. Once you defrost something, you have to use it up. Do not refreeze it. You can cook it and then freeze the cooked part, but the main object that's frozen, you can't refreeze raw foods. That's the way it goes. So, Nannercado, 2/28/18. And we'll just put this right in. Now, the nice thing about this now is all these fruits and vegetables that we're making, no salt, no sugar, all natural ingredients. All the preservatives that we have in foods today, because nobody is doing scratch cooking anymore. I don't have time. Well, a couple seconds, hello, whip that, zoom, that's it. Ice cream. Yeah, we got too many things in the freezer. Okay, now our next one, apples. You can make your applesauce. Pears, and make a pear sauce. Put together apple pear sauce. So we're going to take and peel our pears. And another thing too, when buying your fresh fruits, you want to check the product itself, make sure there's no blemishes or brown spots. You want to have a nice, natural, healthy vegetable. Okay, so what we're going to do now is cut up our pears. You want to cut off the end. And cut off the other end. And of course, you want to take and rinse these off. And then we're going to just cut these in chunks. Now you want to stay away, cut around the center of the pear, because you don't want to get all those little tiny little seeds in there. Just go right around the edge there. You can kind of see what the pit is of the pear. Just cut around that. And just cut these into little chunks. And we'll just put this in our pot. And you just want to just barely cover with water. Not completely, but just barely, just enough to moisten it. Because we're going to kind of steam these a little bit. Bring this to a boil and just cook them until they're, knife fork tender. Okay, and now we're going to just do the same thing as we did to the pears with the apples. If you can do a whole bunch of these, just do small at a time, because you don't want them to, to get brown and dry. Put a little lemon juice on it to keep them from brown. Don't use the lemon juice. You don't need that in your baby. They don't need the acid. Now, if you wanted to add like a little cinnamon to the apple, for your applesauce, that's fine. check with your pediatrician to make sure it's okay for your baby, and it's recommended not to do that until they're at least 8 months old. So again, this is for your baby that we're doing. It's baby food. Checking with your pediatrician, your doctor, to make sure that it's okay for them to be eating this type of food. 'Cause like I said, every child is different. Is that both of them? I think so, yep. And with the same thing, we just barely cover this with water. Just barely. And we'll boil those up. Now let's check our pears. Now these should be cooked within under 5 minutes. Okay, now our pears are all done, nice and tender. And then we'll just take and put these into the food processor. Now this is the pears. Now don't dump out the water, because we might need it. I doubt it, but we just might. If it's too thick, you use the reserved water to pour in to thin it out, because you want to make a puree. But pears have a lot of moisture in them, so you probably don't have to thin it out. All right. It looks just like applesauce. See? Yeah, just like applesauce. Pear sauce. So now, I'm going to put this in a bowl. Even a pie pan would be great too. So we have pear sauce. You can just take and let that cool completely, and package up in freezer bags, date it, label it. It's like that in the freezer. There you go, and that's your pear sauce. But oh yeah, it's coming up because I told you. Well, we can just take and we'll do the same thing with the apples. Then, when they're cooled, then we'll take the two products and mix them together. Apple pear sauce. Next, we can go on to some vegetables. The other thing, besides bananas, avocados, and of course the apples and pears, but the three most important fruits and vegetables for the babies in the developing stages, which have excellent vitamins and nutrients and the good fats to help them to grow and gain weight, is also sweet potatoes. I don't know, odd to me, but that's what the officials say, and the doctors and stuff, but that's what they are doing. Now, you can take and poke it with a fork, wrap it in plastic wrap, throw it in the microwave for about 8 to 10 minutes, or foil and bake it in the oven, about 30 minutes at 400 degrees, or you can boil it too, and that's what we're going to do, is boil. And so I'm just cutting these into little chunks, bite-sized chunks, whatever. As you can tell, we're recording here at nighttime because my instant lighting is different. It is. It's completely different when it's daylight, because then the sun comes through the windows and stuff, and it's altogether different. So you just barely want to cover them. And we'll boil these. Now, sweet potatoes are going to take quite a little bit longer, so the smaller the chunks, the quicker it's going to cook off for you. And just keep an eye on it. Like I said, wait till the fork tender, and keep an eye on them to make sure that you might have to add water if it starts to boil down. You don't want to burn them, but they take a little bit longer. So, while those are cooking, we can go on to the next one, which is going to be carrots. Now, carrots are very good at vitamins A and C. These are all similar: calcium, phosphorus, magnesium. Some have selenium, but do the same thing. The difference here now with a carrot is that, you know, we can cut these into tiny chunks and boil away. And then we're going to puree them. The thing, though, with cooking off carrots is that now I'm just going to cut off the tip and the butt end of the carrot. We don't want to use those. There's a difference now with using the carrot and cooking the carrot is you can, you know, add the water, cook them until they're fork tender, and then we'll puree it. But you know, we're going to have to add some water to it because it's going to be thick puree with a carrot because there's not much moisture in it naturally. But the thing is, difference here now is we don't want to use reserved water from the carrot because then nitrates will soak back into the carrot, which we don't want to have. We don't want to use the nitrates. So you want to take and use fresh water to add to your carrot puree to thin it out, and not the reserved water. You don't want to use that because when you boil this now, it's going to boil away the nitrates, and we don't want that. We want those to get rid of, and they'll seep back in if you use the carrot water. So just use regular water and add from your faucet, whatever, or bottled water that's purified, etc., to the mix instead of using the reserved water. But the other fruit and vegetables you can, just the carrot you don't. So let me just clean this up and wait till the fork tender, and then we'll be right back. Okay, now what do we have here? The sweet potatoes? Yeah, those carrots there. These are all done. Put these in, put them up. Now this is like a little too thick, and I used up my reserved water already. So I can just do a little tap water. And I'm just going to pour this a little bit. It just was a little too thick, and the reserved water had evaporated away anyway. A little bit more. And then, with our sweet potatoes now, same as with our fruit, we're going to put those in a larger bowl just so that it has a chance to cool down quicker. And that will be it for the sweet potatoes. Another item to do with your sweet potatoes is you can take and add apples to it too if you want. Have the apple sweet potato mash is what it's called. And that's supposed to be really tasty, which I imagine would be. But like again now, we have sweet potato, no sugar added, all natural, bing bang boom, label, date it, seal it, and throw it in the freezer. And that'll be sweet potato. Again, same way with the carrots. And now with the carrots, it's the same way. We'll just put these inside and we'll puree these up. And like I said before now, we don't want to put nitrates back in here, so we're not going to use the reserved water. That we can toss, so we just need to add fresh water or any liquid of your choice. You know, all natural apple juice if you wanted to, or orange juice, whatever, you know, liquid you want to use. That's totally up to you, and you can use. I'm just going to put in just a little bit here first and test it out. need to add a little bit more water. We want it more, puree. A little bit on the saucier side. Make sure you scrape the sides of the bowl to get any chunks that are in there. We don't want to have chunks. We're doing the puree, so you want to make sure it's all mushy. And let's see how that is. And I'm going to just a little tits more. Do you want this more like applesauce? You want it puree. And then that's our carrots. Is that mushy? Same way, wait till it cools. And then we can package this. We have to date, label it, date it, and make sure too to squeeze the air out of the bag. And that'll be our carrots. We have carrots and sweet potatoes for your baby. Well, I hope these tips help you out with your firstborn, newborn baby. I know Nikki's going to be happy with hers. I can't wait to hear the stories. I remember she said when she was pregnant, the worst thing she hated about being big was driving her car, because she said it was hard steering. It was hard turning the car, turning the wheel. Oh, I think you guys don't have to go through, but anyway. So from the Northwoods Cooking Show, I want to say, eat healthy, be safe, and spread the sunshine. Bye-bye.